Hello, people. I hope you all are doing well today because I am doing fantastic. Guys, today, I'm not even going to mess around. Go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, because this video is going to be off the chain. And as always, remember to share it. Come on, share it with everyone you know, along with the beer. Today I'm going to talk about something I've been getting a lot of requests for. Ever since I did a video on thoughts of NBA legends on Klay Thompson, I've been getting a ton of messages requesting me to do a video on why Klay Thompson landed so far down in the NBA draft of 2011. Just like most of you, I think a lot of general managers messed up their draft picks, and the Warriors were fortunate to steal Klay with their 11th pick in the 2011 draft. I'm going to go through all these picks today to get a better understanding of what happened, and cast our full judgment on the teams that biffed their picks. If you're a fan of any of the teams that drafted before the Warriors in the 2011 draft, prepare to be really saddened, really embarrassed, and really ashamed of what your teams did when they passed on Klay. The first pick in the 2011 draft went to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers had recently lost King James, who took his talents to South Beach the season before. We don't need to go through that story. That's for another time. The Cleveland Cavaliers played horribly in the 2010 NBA season, and as a result, they had 2 picks in the top 5. They got the number 1 pick from the Clippers, and that was the pick they used to draft Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was drafted out of Duke, and honestly, I can't blame the Cavs too much for that pick because of the player he is now. I'm guessing that the Cavs scouts and management team really saw something in Kyrie Irving that made them think he would transition to the NBA masterfully, and his upside would be great. Honestly, Kyrie Irving was not the best player in college basketball in 2010, if we were to go back and look from a numbers perspective. He was really good, and he was a really good shooter. But his numbers weren't as good as some of the guys that got drafted after him. So I'm guessing that the Cavs used foresight to see that Kyrie would have a great upside, and that is why he got drafted at the number 1 spot. This was a good draft in terms of payoff for the Cavaliers, based on Kyrie's production while he was there. But unfortunately for the Cavs, Kyrie didn't see himself becoming the player and having the legacy he wanted while playing with LeBron, and things got messy. We all know what happened, blah blah blah, and Brooklyn. The second pick in the 2011 NBA draft went to, oh lord, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Can somebody please tell me how it is that the Minnesota Timberwolves get so many opportunities to draft good players, but still have such a horrible team? This is the same Minnesota Timberwolves that drafted twice before Steph and Curry, and here they are, drafting 2nd overall, and not drafting Klay? In the season before Klay Thompson was drafted, the Minnesota Timberwolves had a rubbish roster. Am I allowed to say that on YouTube? I think I can. I'll be fine. Back to it. The Timberwolves roster only had 2 players with star potential on the team in 2010, and those players were Kevin Love and Michael Beasley. Michael Beasley didn't turn out to be the player that we thought he had potential to be, unfortunately. Because of the severe lack of solid NBA talent on their roster, the Timberwolves would be drafting for the best player available in the draft at number 2, and they thought that would be Derrick Williams. Derrick Williams did have a very solid college career at that point, and he had an NBA-ready body, so the Timberwolves decided to draft him. They also had 3 really young shooting guards in their roster at that time, so it wouldn't have made the most sense for them to draft another shooting guard. The Utah Jazz drafted out of the number 3 spot in the 2011 draft. Utah used that pick to draft Enes Kanter? I don't know why, but that's what they did. It really doesn't make any sense to me, because Enes Kanter was drafted to a team loaded with front court players, such as Derek Favors, Al Jefferson, Paul Millsap, and Josh Howard. And that team had a wide, gaping hole at the shooting guard position. This team had every opportunity to search for a shooting guard, but chose to draft a center from the EuroLeague to add to their roster? I mean, Enes Kanter was playing fairly good basketball in Europe, but for the 3rd pick, he had a lot of holes in his game, such as rebounding deficiencies, his inability to shoot the ball, and I'm sure if we revisit his time in Europe, we can even find more. With all of that, the Utah Jazz still somehow thought it would be best for them to draft Kanter instead of Klay Thompson. With the 4th spot in the draft, here comes Cleveland and their Cavaliers. Yep, to make a big mistake. Guys, if you're a Golden State fan, this is the part of the video where you lift your eyes to the skies and say thank you to the basketball gods. This is where you realize that the Cleveland Cavaliers could have gotten both Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson in the same draft. The Cavs could have paired both Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson with LeBron James, after he returned from South Beach, of course. If you're a Cleveland fan, first of all, thank you for watching my video. And I hope you don't feel too bad about the Cavaliers biffing their opportunity to make that dynasty that's in Golden State. Cleveland's roster was poor to say the least, and that earned them that good pick in the top 5. But instead of making a very good decision, they made a very poor choice and ended up with a very average Tristan Thompson. I'm sorry if this upsets any Tristan Thompson or Kardashian fans, but you know it's true. All I can say is that the Cavaliers couldn't possibly have thought this one through completely, or there's no way that they would have ended up with an undersized power forward at the number 4 pick in the NBA draft. And I don't know what the guys in Toronto were drinking when they selected this next pick, and I don't ever want to know, because I will not buy any of it. I know it wasn't beer. The Toronto Raptors used the number 5 pick to draft a center that was averaging 7 points and 5 rebounds in the EuroLeague. Let me repeat that. The guy that went at the 5 spot was averaging 7 points and 5 rebounds in Europe. Toronto, really? This must have been a joke. Man, I think someone from the Raptors organization said, "Wouldn't it be funny if we drafted this guy?" And the NBA commissioner accidentally heard the conversation and thought they were serious. Jonas Valanciunas has carved out a fairly good NBA career for himself, but I can't see it as one deserving of a 5th overall pick. Number 6, nope. Number 7, nope. Can't do it. I just can't. Guys, you know what? Let me just go to pick number 8. Man, I don't even have the time. Detroit went for Brandon Knight at number 8 in the draft, and this was a fairly solid pick from their perspective at the time. And honestly, I can't fault them for thinking it would have been a solid pick. But now, I can definitely roast him for the horrible decision that it turned out to be. At the time of the draft, the Pistons had Ben Gordon, Rip Hamilton, and Tracy McGrady at the 2 spot, so it wouldn't have made much sense for them to go after another shooting guard. But I bet if they knew what a monster Klay Thompson would eventually become, they would have drafted him without thinking twice. The Pistons did draft Brandon Knight. Guys, a point guard that averaged around 4 assists per game for his entire career. We definitely don't need to think twice on whether that was a mistake or not. Man, after all this, I need a beer, or 10. The Charlotte Bobcats could argue that they made a solid pick when they selected Kemba Walker at the 9th spot in the draft. Kemba had fairly good numbers coming out of college, but Klay showed much more of a progression in his college career, and he had a bigger body that would suit the NBA game better than Kemba Walker. I know for a fact that I would have drafted Klay Thompson over Kemba. The last player to get drafted before Klay Thompson was Jimmer Fradette. The Milwaukee Bucks selected Fradette and then traded him to Sacramento shortly after. Honestly, guys, Jimmer was a monster in college, and I don't know if I would have drafted Klay over him at that moment. Unfortunately for Sacramento, and all the other NBA teams that Journeyman Fradette went on to play for, his college playing style could not translate to the NBA. Or maybe he wasn't placed in the right situation. Some people call him the Steph Curry that never was. Man, that was a lot. I think I need a beer. Until next time, guys. Thanks for watching. Cheers.